Tabii Farming Simulator var. Doğru. Doğru. Farming Simulator var. Doğru diyorsunuz. Bu Farming Simulator'ın cidden e-sporu var. Bayağı 1 milyon dolar ödül veriyorlar. Dalga geçmiyorum. Yalan yok. En son 250 bin dolar vermişler. Dur bak göstereyim. Bu en son işte Kasım'dan Kasım'a olan şeyde vereceklermiş. Baksana yani hepsi Alman zaten, şaşırtmadı. Euro pardon diyor, dolar işte. Yani insan hayret ediyor. Bayağı bildiğim var yani harbiden. Ha, olması bile şaşırtıcı. Ne yapıyorlar peki bilmiyorum, izlemedim. Şurada hatta şeydeydi, ben Gamescom'a gitmiştim. Benim bulunduğum standın yanındaki standta yapıyorlardı bunu. Çok enteresandı. Hepsi Alman, evet abi. Almanlar çok seviyor. Baksana. Yani ilk 8'de Alman dışında yok. İlk 8'de Alman dışında adam yok. Şaka, hiç bilmiyorum.
And a cold beer at the end of a long day. Ain't no city folk round here. Just men, big old trucks, and 400 acres of
Big old trucks, yeehaw. Geliyorum solup.
This is competitive farming simulator.
Ah shit.
Farming Simulator is a game developed by Giant Software. Starting in 2008, Farming Simulator bottled up all the excitement of a day's work in the wheat fields and brought it to the living rooms of people around the world. From managing funds to buying new equipment to tilling the fields, Farm Simulator aims to be a hyper-realistic representation of the agriculture industry. Originally, the game was primarily single-player, but Farming Sim really came into its own due to a booming multiplayer community, filled with mods and game types that completely changed how Farm Sim could be played. Some of these are purely quality of life and based around the original game, like adding new farm vehicles or being able to hire workers to take care of your animals for you. But some completely changed the objective of the game, turning it into a logging simulator or even a zombie survival mode. It was from these mods that the team at Giant Studios decided to take it to the next step, creating a competitive mode where teams could face off against each other to prove who really is the best farmer. Now, for many of our North American viewers, hearing about competitive farming simulator probably comes as a bit of a surprise. Most niche competitive titles have tons of exposure through the internet. But since Farming Simulator is primarily based around Switzerland and Germany, there isn't much coverage in English, meaning that North American audiences probably haven't heard too much about it. But the competitive scene in Europe is multinational and goes from France to Germany to the Czech Republic, and interest in Farming Simulator is growing elsewhere too. The journey to developing a competitive mode started in 2017, when Giants ran a small farming sim tournament at Agritechnica 2017. Surprisingly, Giants was met by positive reactions from both competitors and spectators alike, and they began experimenting with various game types until they finally decided on the one that would come to define the farming sim experience. The game is ultimately decided by who has the most wheat at the end of the 15-minute round. Competitive farming sim games begin with a pick and ban phase, which is all about denying your opponent
Pick and ban mi?
tractors. Tractors vary from one another in horsepower, tire width, and whether or not they're equipped with a front loader, and each tractor can only be picked once. Once this phase is finished, both teams select two power plays, which can do anything from increasing the speed of your tractors to improving grain harvest to denying the enemy team access to the bridges that connect the map. The way you choose power plays is dependent on your team's strategy and will vary from map to map. The competitive map consists of 5 zones. The spawn zone, which
Oğlum
is
müthiş zevkli lan.
the pod zone, which is where the harvesters and balers needed to compete, are located. A side note about the pod zone is that the field is mirrored for both teams, and as soon as you get in a harvester or baler, it instantly becomes unavailable for the other team. This is the first tactical move you need to make, as having the right vehicles can be the difference between winning and losing. Also, if one team rushes all 3 harvesters or all 3 balers on their side, they instantly win the game, as the other team can't have one of the vehicles necessary to compete. This is called a tractor rush. Next, we have the field zone, which is a square field filled with wheat. The harvesters go back and forth on the wheat field, and the balers put them into neat little hay bales. Once the hay bale has been created, it's off to the 4th zone, the drop-off zone, where bales of wheat are
Acaba birisi
deposited
şey
to
diyor
earn
mu?
points.
Koçum
The
hasat öyle
drop-off zone is
yapılmaz. Gel
connected
sana
to the map
göstereyim.
via drop bridges, which, like the pods in the 2nd zone, are also connected to the opponent's side. That means when you lower a bridge on your side, the same thing happens for your opponents. The 5th and final zone is the village, where you can drop off wheat to increase your score multiplier. This multiplier comes at the cost of slowing down your conveyor belt while speeding up your opponents, but deliver enough wheat to offset your opponent's multiplier, and their belt will overheat and shut down, giving you an opportunity to pull ahead. Striking a proper balance between the drop-off zone and the village is important to make sure that your opponents don't pull away and that your conveyor belt doesn't overheat. So now that we've got the gameplay out of the way, you're probably wondering, who the heck plays this mode? And the answer might surprise.
Bu bilgi kafi müthiş yani. Acayip müthiş bir şey oğlum. Acayip zevkli. Orada bir de şey gördüm. Size onu sormam lazım. Aklıma geldi. Abi Nitrado Türkiye'den çıkan bir firma değil mi? Nitrado Türk firması. Ben doğru biliyorum onu. Yanlış bilmiyorum. Doğru muyum? Alman firması mı? Belki yanlış biliyormuşum. Türkiye'den onlar zaten öyle bir çekildi ki. Türkiye'den öyle bir çekildi ki o herifler. Dedi ki kafi biz bir çocuk kaçar. Ya inanılmaz iyi kaçtılar Türkiye'den. Onlar yok oldu. Yok olmadı oğlum. Nitrado şu an dünyanın en büyük server satıcısı bu arada. Neredeyse. Sadece Türkiye'de yok. Bayağı bildiğin birçok oyunun şeyleri official şeyi satıcısı. Niye çekildiler?